out different things. In the past, we've called and said, if I got your voicemail, I would say, hey, Tracy, it's Derek. I just have a quick question about your property. Give me a call back. I don't even, I don't get into details.
Mhm.
It's short and quick, or I'll hang up. I won't even leave a voicemail, but I'll send a text message.
Mhm.
And the text message is going to say, hey, I just tried to call you. And you're obviously busy. When would be the best time for me to give you a call back? And it gets them to usually ask you a question. So you start a dialogue with them right there.
Yeah,
They usually say, well, who the hell is this?
right. That's why I wouldn't even leave my name, what company I'm with. Just, hey, it's Tracy. I was just giving you a call about your house that was for sale. Give me a call when you get a chance. 978 number. That's it.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So then they're thinking, is this a buyer? You want them not wanting to know what your reason for your call is, other than about their house. So they're thinking like, well, who's calling me about my house? Is it a buyer? Is it who? I wonder who that is. And I think that's a good thing. If you, for instance, on the other end, if you called someone, and for those of you jumping on, we're just talking about leaving messages. And if you think on the other end, it would be like, oh, hey, this is Tracy Barber with Real Broker. I'm a real estate agent. And I just want to give you a call because your house was on the market before. And if you're interested in putting it back on the market, please give me a call. That would never get you a call back.
No.
Again, like I said last week, if someone calls you back on a voicemail like that, buy a lottery ticket that day. Because it's slim to none. Keep them simple.
Yep.
Don't even tell them who you're with. Hey, it's Tracy. Hope you're doing well. Give me a call. I was just calling you about your house that was for sale. That's it. That's all you need to leave.
Okay.
So just a thought. Anybody else have any questions on leaving voicemails or before we jump into somebody actually does answer the phone? Because I think this is a good topic to talk about today, because a lot of you are starting to make your calls and you're probably running into questions and what should I say? What should I do? This went well, this went wrong. Anybody have any incidences or cases in the last week of calls they want to talk about?
I do.
Okay.
Would you approach a call? I had a good call last week with an expired listing. We even have appointment for me to go meet with them, and let's say 1 hour or before the appointment, they call to cancel.
They called and canceled?
Yeah.
Not surprising.
So
Did you book another time with them right away?
she was traveling, so I told him, and she told me that she would be back around Christmas. So we set a time for me to call her back in 15 days.
Mhm.
It already in my CRM. I'm gonna call her in 60 days to reset an appointment, another appointment.
Derek, any
So
thoughts?
one thing you can do there, if it happens, I mean, people cancel for all sorts of reasons. A lot of times they're just procrastinating.
Mhm.
What you can do to kind of stay in front of them is just send them a handwritten note. And so I had someone walk in for a second there, but you said you had an appointment for a listing, or was it a buyer?
It was expired.
This is expired.
Yeah. So kind of do a little guilt trip on them,
Mhm.
in the handwritten note.
Mhm.
So I'd write Dickens, I was really looking forward to meeting you on whatever day. I've prepared a lot of information for you, and I look forward to meeting with you, on whatever date that you set. Put it in there, and then just wish them a happy holidays, and so you'll talk to them soon. What that handwritten note does, and the key line is here is like, I've already done a lot of work for you. You kind of put in that little thought in their mind, you know, maybe I should hold my appointment with him. He's already done the work. Okay, so it's just that extra step of the handwritten note. You know, they could be, you know, lying to you. They may not be traveling. They may be having people coming in from out of town. You never know what the circumstances are.
Yeah, they might just not want anybody over. I mean, there's a ton of different things it could mean.
So, you know, I would definitely send a handwritten note just to keep that contact rolling.
Definitely. And it happens.
Thank
I mean,
you.
people, last thing you want to do is, you know, not be cordial because people are busy this time of years, and that will happen. It will happen, but
Yeah.
staying on top of
And
them,
that's
continuing to follow up and continue to follow up. Okay, great. We're going to be here. Then following up and they say, no, let's move it again. That will earn people's respect too, if it's done right. So people like people that'll follow up with them. You know, last thing most people want is an agent that's got to be chased. Yeah, they want you chasing them.
you know, the other thing there too is I don't think we even mentioned it in some of the previous calls, but if you have a good conversation with someone and they're looking to move whatever time frame they give you, I definitely send a handwritten thank you note.
Yeah.
I always have a box of note cards, you know, on my desk. You know, it's simple, takes about 30 seconds to write a handwritten note, slap a stamp on it, and go.
I do
Well,
that
we're on here.
with all expireds. If I'm working expireds, if I'm finding phone numbers and I'm leaving messages, I'm also sending a note card. And the note card, I think, also should be very simple. You know, I'll usually just write in there, hey, I just wanted to chat with you about your property at blank address. That's it. Not on, you know, if you're looking for an agent or you're thinking about relisting or any of that crap, just, hey, I'd love to chat with you about your property at blank. Doesn't hurt my hand as much to write, and you're more likely to get a call back.
Short and sweet.
Short
And the other thing too is this time of year, no card size envelopes get opened.
all the time.
If you think you can make it easier and just print off 8 by 10 sheets out of your printer and stick them in a number 10 envelope, they're less likely to get open. Okay. Handwritten is key. I'm going to put a website in the chat for you guys. It's where we buy our stamps in bulk. And I can get my stamps usually well under, 50% of what they cost at the post office. Okay. So it's called Nice Stamps.
Nice stamps. Okay.
.net.
Nice stamps. All right.
All right.
To
When I
know.
buy in bulk, I get them for about 12 cents a piece.
Really? As opposed
Yes.
to 6 cents? Yikes.
Yes. You can cut your postage bill in half.
Yeah. I love handwritten notes. I think it's way more effective than a postcard. And if you want to put a little bit of money into it to make it look like a postcard, you just design the front of your postcard on like Vistaprint or it's quite a few others. Gotprint.com is cheap. That's another resource, gotprint.com. Super cheap
Absolutely.
postcards. Takes them a couple weeks to get them to you, but super cheap postcards. Like super cheap. And you just design something so that it's your picture, your almost looks like a business card on the front or looks like a postcard on the front. So you can start writing the interior. I'd rather do that than postcards all day long. It's more
Yep.
personalized. All right. Who else has made some calls that has some questions or some scenarios that came up?
Or some objections that you're getting.
Objections you're getting or objections you think you're going to get?
So that's, you haven't made the calls yet.
Those are worse than the objections you actually get, are the ones that you've already convinced yourself you're going to get in your head. Those are the worst.
Yep, the ones that you're manifesting.
Who wants to volunteer?
Well, I've said none of there, but I talked to a friend who works for an insurance company.
Bingo.
And she is, an agent for an insurance company who works for all different kinds of people. And she's going to work in conjunction with me. She also volunteers at the Chamber of Commerce. And so we're connecting to work together as a team. And she's going to introduce me to service providers and hand out my business cards. And then we already have that sense of trust kind of built because she knows them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we started this weekend.
Awesome. That's good stuff. I think those are great calls to make. You know, if I was to craft out the perfect week of calls, 1 hour a day, 1 hour per day, 5 days a week, one of those days would be just calling service providers that you can network with and build with. And, you know, asking them if they already have, if they have a go-to real estate agent that they pass referrals back and forth with. You know, that's an important question, and it can, you know, quickly find you people that are just, no, I don't really know any real estate agents. You know, so now you're 10xing your ability to reach people in your network. So
Tracy, just one piece of advice on like chamber events, networking events. You have to go into it looking to make contacts, but you can't corner someone and try to lock them down for a 30-minute conversation in one of those events. They want to mingle. They have, you know, so a lot of times I'll see it happen. I'll walk over and I'll introduce myself, and the other person will walk away and they'll say, "Thank you so much." They were trying to sell me out on everything they do. You know, so the key point of going to these networking events and getting your introductions like she's going to do, which is, you know, makes it 10 times easier for you, is you want to grab their business card. You know, so I'll say, "Hey, Tracy, can I grab your card?" A lot of times, you know, if they're traditional business people, they still have business cards. Grab theirs, hand them yours. And what you want to do the next day is shoot them an email, shoot them a text. "Hey, Tracy, it was so nice meeting you last night at the chamber event. I'd love to learn more about your business and how I could help provide some referrals to you. You know, when would be a good time for us to sit down for a cup of coffee?" Okay. If they respond, "Listen, I'm just super busy. You know, Tracy brought on something the other day that I've already used and it works. Hey, I understand you're slammed this time of year. We grab like a 15-minute Zoom social. You can grab a coffee in your office. I'll grab a coffee and we'll just, you know, get right to it on a quick Zoom." You're just looking to form those connections. And the best way to do it is, you know, over a coffee and asking all the questions about their business and how you can help them. And it's only natural. The next question out of their mouth is going to be, you know, what could I do for you?
Yep, totally. If you take a business card, you need to make it a goal of doing something with that business card. Because otherwise it just goes in the glove compartment, and the next time you sell your car, you'll clean them all out and throw them all away.
It's true.
I say that because I've done it.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to get in the business of meeting people, collecting their card, and then throwing them away 3 years later.
Correct.
You just wasted that time that you spent chatting with them for a couple of minutes. And there's a lot of time, those networking events, you're never going to get to your end goal with people. There's just not enough attention, or it's just, you feel like you only talk to one person during the whole thing because you've gotten into too long a conversation. Is just, you know, keep them short and sweet and say, you know, sound like someone I'd love to work with and network and refer back and forth. Let's plan on, I'll call you tomorrow, or I'll text or email you tomorrow, and we'll set up a time to have a more in-depth chat.
Exactly. 100%.
Who else wants to chat about what they got going on, or what objections they ran into? Let's hear some more volunteers. Get you guys talking. Lisa?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can.
All right, good. I made some phone calls. I was able to schedule a showing for yesterday at a property in Tingsboro. And then I have a follow-up call with a previous client. her and her husband had relocated to central US. But she wants to buy property back in Massachusetts, I guess. So I'm going to be jumping on a follow-up call with her tonight at around 5:30.
Oh, awesome.
Mhm.
Love it. Love it. That kind of pulls back into my head too, the opportunity with absentee owners. You know, I don't know why it just popped in my head, but just talking about people not living here brought into my head. If you find owners that don't live here, that will own a house here, those are pretty good prospecting lists as well. Or going into MLS and looking for the single family home rentals that were rented last spring. A couple towns that I was looking through expires and canceled this week. A good amount of them, when I looked at the property history, had been rented, and after they were on the market and they expired, they rented them out through on MLS. So they were renting them out last March, January, February, March. You know, and a lot of those, whether it's this year or next year, at some point, they're probably not going to rent that out long term. So I think those are great ones to call.
Yeah.
Call and mail.
Even if you look at like multifamily properties, if we were to pull a list of multifamily properties, identify who the owner is, even if they live in one of the units, and then the other unit, we could market to those individuals to see if they are ready to actually buy a home of their own versus renting in that home, you know?
Totally. Totally. All right. Who else? Who else is stumbling or got questions on questioning and scripting and making calls? Nobody?
No objections?
No objections? Everybody's winning.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna close some deals.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah,
Go
can
ahead.
George,
Oh, maybe not.
someone was trying. I think that was
Hey,
George. While someone else
Carl
is trying
say
to cut
hello.
in, as we've said, like I've been making my 20 calls a day, and Friday I called a bunch of leads that I had previously convinced myself were dead and crap. And one of them was a seller in Weston who's going to list with me. Called her Friday, met with her Saturday. She's ready to go. And she's going to buy a house for 650 to 700 and sell one for about 1.1. So 1.8 from some leads that I thought were crap. So, I mean, I guess the moral of that story is if you got a phone number, it's worth calling. Right?
Well, I mean, the moral of the story is they told you no before.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a stop calling me. So that's one big thing that I want you to understand, especially when we're talking about different lists to call. And we have our lead generation list where people are filling out forms to come and talk to us. You have your farming list where you're just calling through your farm, if you don't have one, reach out, we can help you get one. But your farm area that you want to get listings out of continuously. And I always tell myself if I'm making a call and they tell me no, they're not moving right now. It's not a stop, call me. If they don't want you to call them, they're going to let you know. Trust me. Once you start making enough phone calls that are cold, they'll tell you, please take me off your list. I'm not interested. So that's fine. You got to remove them from your list. But the ones that say no, it's just not right now. So when you call in 6 months down the road, you may get a different answer. Life events happen very quickly. So it's, you got to keep funneling through and keep calling.
They do. And especially if they tell you, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to list at this point. It'll probably be another year or two. Before you end the call, ask their permission, say, okay, sounds good, obviously, we'll keep in touch if anything changes. And if I don't hear from you, maybe I'll touch base in 3 months and just see if things are still the same. Most of the time they'll say yes. Yeah, no problem. Or they'll give you a suggested window to call. And even if that window, if they said, well, just give me a call in 6 months, see if I'm still there. Would you guys call in 6 months or would you call sooner? Sooner. Because things
So-
change, because life changes, and the last thing you want to do is, is all of a sudden call in 6 months and they say, oh, yeah, I just listed my house.
Right.
Correct. So the protocol on that one, again, is immediate thank you note, business card in the mail.
Yeah.
And they should be getting something from you once a month. Anyone that says they're looking to sell in 2 years or under, it's once a month. They're getting something from you. Okay. And then the big question people have is, what do I send? As long as your picture and contact information's on it, send it. Doesn't have to be rocket science. Tracy's digging out something. What we got?
Seller prep letter. Even if they're a year out, I could put this in the Google Drive if you guys want it. Preparing your home for the market, 10 low cost ways to get your house ready for market, even if you're a year out. Decluttering, minimizing picture, like just send this a value piece. Have a value piece you can send them. Hey, it was great chatting you. I know you're about a year or two out, but here's a useful piece of information that has helped a lot of my clients get their house ready and maximize its value when they're ready to sell. So I'll put that in the this morning. I'll put that in the Google Drive folder that I'll going to give you guys the link for. I'll post it in the thing here.
Thank you.
Something of value. Give them something of value. And if they're, they're saying, well, no, I'm not selling, ask them, you guys, are you looking to do anything around the house? Because I have a bunch of great resources for trades and different things that people, do work on homes, whether it be a landscaper, plumber, electrician, cleaner. Do you need anything around the house right now? Because if you can be let's say they're not selling for a couple of years, but you can be of value to them right now, make the connection. Because, now if you make a connection to your landscaper, you've said to your landscaper that you've brought into your network, like, yeah, let's refer back and forth. Don't be waiting just for, a client to call you and say, hey, I'm looking for a landscaper. Every call you make, just ask them if they're looking to get anything done around the house. You have a lot of resources you can provide with them. And now you become valuable to them outside of the sales cycle. I think that is what everyone really needs to be thinking of, is how can I bring value to people outside of the 7 to 10 year sales cycle? So that they want to hear from you, so that they feel like you're of value to them, that you stay top of mind awareness. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
All right. What other kind of calls are you guys making? Sphere calls? Anybody calling their sphere right this time of year? I think the next 2 weeks are a great time to call everyone in your sphere.
Yeah, Tracy, the couple of things that I've heard from a few people that I've talked to, and it happens to me too. When you call your sphere, you may not get as many phone calls. May not get through as many phone calls as you think you would.
Yeah.
So definitely block off some time for sphere, because you have to remember a lot of your sphere calls are your past client calls, and you spent a lot of time helping them buy a home, and before you know it, they're on the phone 25 minutes with you. So it's not a bad thing. You want to book time for those calls. And it's super important to reconnect. But if you have a sphere call day, you may want to book time, block an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, because if people do pick up the phone, you're going to have a lot of conversations.
Totally. Is anybody fearful of making those calls right now to their sphere, thinking that it's the holidays and that you're going to bother them?
No.
Okay. Because it's a great time of year to catch up with people.
Yeah.
Anybody catch themselves trying to figure out whether to say happy holidays or Merry Christmas?
Yes.
My
Go with
personal
whatever you-
feeling is, if someone's offended by me saying, I wish you guys a Merry Christmas, and they're not Christmas followers, and they don't want to work with me, then I guess I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, why are we in such a world that everybody gets offended by everything? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, back in the day, you'd wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and if they didn't fall or they were another religion, then they just would ignore it and just say, you know, same to you, or whatever, and they move on with life. Now I know people get offended, but for me personally, it just I get too hung up on trying to figure out which one I want to say, and then I just say, I resorted just saying, I wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and leave it at that. What are you guys feeling is on that? And that's I think it's a personal feeling for sure, but
Hi, Tracy.
how you doing?
Hi, George. Yeah, good. Yeah, somehow, in addition to that, I was thinking I am doing things like pop buys.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this is a good time for that,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that you could also meet them face to face and just leave,
It's absolutely a great time at Popeyes. And the reason is a lot of people they decorate for the holidays. So it's an easy thing to compliment on. Your house looks amazing. Okay. A lot of people are taking time off this time of year and are home. If you want to go door knocking or Popeyes, two great days to do it, I found in the past 6 months, or Fridays and obviously the weekends. So many companies have gone to 4-day work weeks, or are letting their people work from home on Fridays.
That's a good
Okay,
point.
for client retention.
Yeah.
Or not client retention, but
Employee,
employment retention.
Yeah.
So again, it's there's never a bad time to make phone calls. There's never a bad time to door knock. It's whatever fits into your schedule. Because today, more than ever, people are home at all hours of the day.
They are.
Okay, thank you.
I was making calls.
George, one question on your
Yes.
Popeyes. What are you delivering?
Yes, that's one other thing. Just things like soap, things like snow, windshield, snow remover, and just small items.
Perfect. Cool.
Nice. I like it.
You put a fun tag with it, like with Buffini. He would always have the fun tags
Yes,
go along with
yes.
it, which I love. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
you
think
can
like some
tag
of
it.
the Buffini ideas for that stuff, they are pretty good ideas.
oh, they're excellent.
You know,
Yeah,
even if you just bought some, cost-effective chocolates and threw a few chocolates into a little mesh baggie or something and put a note on it, or just, something like that. I think it's anything of
Yeah.
small value like that, I think is appreciated.
Yeah. I've done that before in the
Okay.
past.
yeah.
What else, guys? What else you got? What else you got questions on?
Question, Tracy, we text about it. Would it be possible for me to receive last Thursday's call?
Yeah, I'll email, notice a couple of people said they didn't get the email either. I sent out an email on Friday with the follow-up with the links and everything in it. A couple of people said they didn't get it. It's probably being grabbed by spam blockers or something. I'm gonna create a Google group for everyone that's in the profitable agent coaching, and I'll email everything again so that
Perfect.
hopefully you get it through just a Google contact group instead of my database. Which goes to show you, like, just like everything else, nothing's perfect. So that's why, use things you send people as a means for following up as well. Just think of like everything you send someone, follow up with a call. Hey, I sent you an email the other day with some details. You had asked me for check on this. I sent that email, just want to make sure you got it. So don't ever take for granted that someone gets something. That's funny. Like even with offers, I've seen like an agent will never even call or text me to confirm that their offer was received.
That's crazy. That's just crazy.
Probably 50% of the time, the agents don't even call to say, I just sent you an offer, I just want to confirm receipt. How terrible is that?
Yeah, talk about a way not to get your offer accepted.
Seriously. Yeah. Use the off-market opportunity too. If you've got people that are, yeah, no, I'm thinking about doing something in the spring, get the appointment now, even if it's right after the holidays, especially if you're making expired calls and seller lead calls or home value calls, anything like that, get the appointment soon and just say, I can help you with a lot of different things. I can help you with home prep. I've got people for that do clean outs. I've got carpenters and handymen. Like, I'd love to stop by early January and just kind of help you make sure you have everything you need to help get your home prepared. And these are, services that I offer my clients, and get your foot in the door early and see if you can get them on an off-market MLS. We can talk about the strategy more in another session, but get the off-market listing listed. For instance, the one I met with the other day, she's going to start getting her house ready. She's got a lot to do to get it ready. She's a pack rat, but I'm going to get a off MLS listing signed in early January so I can do some off-market, work. Calling
Yeah, I
agents.
mean, Tracy, it's all about asking questions and listening to the answers. So I know Carol's on this call. She was making her calls last week. And she called and she had a client in Danvers that said, we really want to be able to find our house first before we list our house. Okay. How many people get that objection? A lot, correct?
Yeah.
So what do you do? What's your response? All right. So Tracy mentioned it the other day. There's bridge loan products. There's lenders out there that have that makes a seller a cash buyer. So we have one of our lenders that we use is AnyMac. Carol did a Zoom call with Corey Parker, and Corey has a program where they can go and make offers on homes without their offer being contingent on a home sale. Okay. So she was able to call the seller back and say, listen, there's a program out there that I really think you should look at, because to be honest with you, if you're going to make offers in the, in the upcoming market, contingent upon your home being sold, with a home sale contingency, chances of you getting an offer accepted in a home you love are going to be slim. So instead of missing out on your next perfect home, just let's jump on a quick call or a quick meeting with my lender so we can explain the program to you. And in the meantime, we can get your home ready. So we're going to do pictures, just like Tracy said. We're going to have it as an off-market opportunity, because now I can drive some buyer leads on that on Facebook. Okay. Everyone wants what they can't have. So if you put up a couple nice pictures of the house, a little bit of description, but no price, no address, the buyers that are serious about buying in that marketplace, they're going to be scouring Zillow and every other site trying to find that house. And when they can't find it, they're going to send you a message on Facebook. Hey, what are the details on that one? Okay. And that's when you take it away from the post, direct message, and have a conversation. So it's so valuable to listen to what the consumer's concern is, okay, or what their issue is, and then find that solution. You find that solution, you're going to get the listing.
100%. So if you're talking to expireds too, it's like, well, tell me a little bit about your experience when you had it on the market.
Oh, it's a loaded question. Sit back and get ready.
All right. Instead of asking what went wrong and assuming something went wrong, because what if it just, what if they had, just because it expired didn't mean they didn't have offers on it. Didn't mean they didn't have offers that wanted to move, but they couldn't find another house. Just by the fact that it expired doesn't mean the agent did anything wrong. So asking effectively. Tell me about your experience when you had it on the market before. What happened when you had it on the market before? They'll tell you whatever that you need to know at that point. And whatever they give you for an answer, keep asking questions related to that. So if it's like, well, I don't know if my agent, well, tell me more about that. Were they just not communicating with you? Because the more questions you ask someone too, the more you can arrange your services to give them exactly what they want. And the reality is they probably had an agent that didn't ask effective questions up front before listing their house. What are your reasons for moving? What do you expect from me as far as communications go? What days are best for me to communicate with you about the status of your property? Like, it's just too many agents just ask too few questions. So the more effective you are asking all the damn questions you can ever think of, the better off you're going to be. And that's, I didn't even get a listing agreement signed in Weston, but she said, I'm going to work with you because you're the most honest person I've met with, and you just get me. That's all she said. And she's had a million agents going after her listing, because anybody that owns a house in Weston that's been owned for more than 15 years is getting postcards left and right from agents. So it's just about asking effective questions and really listening to their needs and what they want. So what we're going to do is we're going to start marketing it off market to try to find a buyer that's willing to wait for her to find another home. That would be more comfortable for her. Plus, she's got a lot of prep to do. So if someone just calls or messages me from some Facebook ad and says, yeah, no, I understand the seller's got a lot of cleanup to do. I understand that the seller needs to find suitable housing. I just really want a house in Weston and I haven't found anything on the market, so I'm willing to wait. You can direct it a little bit more than if it's on MLS. I think a lot of sellers that were on MLS, if they need to find another home to move to, yes, fully you can put that in MLS and say subject to seller finding suitable housing. But that doesn't mean it's not still scaring the seller that they're going to get an offer that they feel like they can't say no to. And then they don't know where they're going to go. Because I think most people in general will think like, yeah, I'd love to say that I would say no when someone came forward with a cash offer to close in 30 days, but I'm afraid I'd say yes. And then I don't know where I'd live. Right. So that's what's going on in people's heads. That's the reason they don't maybe want to list first. And a lot of them, they don't know that there's other options out there, like being able to shop for your next home first. And if you're afraid of trying to explain that before you go to the appointment, all you need to do is say, well, I'd love to stop by next week and we can go over this a little bit more and I could show you how you can shop first and find your next home before you list your home and have no to limited cost on doing that. And then call Derek or I afterwards and we'll connect you with a lender that can explain it to you. So you have enough knowledge to go into the appointment at least. But they're really not, they're really not a hard concept to understand. You don't need to know all the rules. You just to say, if this sounds like a good option for you, once we meet and chat a little bit more about your goals and your home, I'll connect you with the right parties to handle that part of the transaction. So I think that's a great strategy. I think a lot of people that were expired, they're not moving out of state.
Yeah, some expired you call, Dick, and you'll realize they, like Tracy said, they may have had offers, and couldn't find housing.
Yeah, some of them, like I'm talking to one right now. I have a buyer that might be interested, but they're still working with their agent, is because the house has some small issue that my buyer might be able to resolve. That's why they put it off the market. Owner who was a contractor rebuilt their basement without putting a permit, and the city slapped them. And they had off. It's because the person didn't want to take, to take the house with that issue. They walk away, and so I'm trying to see what I can do as a solution.
Mm-hmm. Finding solutions to people's problems, that's where you'll make your money.
That's the goal.
Nobody needs just a listing agent. If they did, they could just pay $500 to put it on entry only. I think you can do it for cheaper than 500 now. I think you could do it for like, what, 250? MLS entry only?
Probably.
You know, if you approach it like, I know you had your house on the market. I'm a problem solver. How can I help? Let's help you solve some of the problems you had last time you were on the market. Tell me tell me more about what happened, and just lean back and listen.
All right, we have a few more minutes here. Any other objections you're getting on calls?
Oh, no. I wish more people answer their phone.
So Dickens, on that note, try the text message instead of leaving a voicemail.
Mhm.
And just say, hey, it's Dickens. I just have a question about your home.
Mhm.
Do that 10 or 15 times. If you get no responses, switch it up.
Oh, okay.
But voicemails, again, sometimes, like Tracy said, they could be doing you more harm than good.
Okay.
Yeah, keep them vague, keep them short. Try the text. When's a better time to call you back? When's a better time to call you? And I think those can definitely work. As soon as you hang up, just send a quick text. Hey, had something chat with you about on your home.
Do you put the address or just say I got a quick question about your home?
Quick question about your home.
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Save yourself the time and effort.
I save
when-
stuff like that in my notes on my phone. I'll save it so that I don't have to type it every time. Save it in my notes on my phone, and then I'll just have the text there, and I'll copy it and hit, so I don't have to type every single time I make a call.
Correct. Exactly. And Dickens, like when I'm calling on behalf of a buyer
Mhm.
or a property, a lot of times I'll have a same thing Tracy just said. I'll put it in my notes and I'll copy and paste it. And so if I'm calling on a condo complex and I call and you didn't pick up, I immediately just hang up, click on the recent calls and send a text message. And the text message is simple. I just identify myself. Hey, it's Derek Beatrice with Real Broker. Reason for my call was I have a buyer looking to purchase it in your condo complex. If I have the name for the complex, I'll put the name in. And I'll just say, are you planning on selling in the next 3 to 6 months? Or this time of year, you can say you plan on selling in the spring market. Gives a little bigger runway. Okay. But over the weekend, Tracy, I made 2 pages of calls. It took about an hour and a half for 2 full pages. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like Dickens said, most people don't answer, but they will respond to a text message.
Mm-hmm.
It's less threatening. Okay. So I go right through. And I think there's probably 25 on this page, Tracy. So probably 50 calls. And I have 2 people that said they want to sell in the spring.
Awesome.
Okay.
Now,
So
those
it's
are just like a list of owned for more than a certain number of years, and
it's on these with the condos. I do condos at 3 years or more.
okay.
Condos are a lot higher turnover rate than single family homes.
Yeah.
Okay. So it all depends. Turnover rate all depends on the price point in the community. If it's an entry level home in a community, could be 3 to 5 years. If it's that median sale price home, it's usually in Massachusetts, unfortunately, it's 7 to 10 or longer.
Yeah.
Okay. But normally on condos, I do 3 years. Single family farmless, I usually do about 5.
Awesome.
All right.
Also go back in the expireds, as long as you can deal with working the list. So I picked a few towns last night, while I was watching football, and I just did a search in these towns for the last 7 years, for expireds, and there was 400 So as you can imagine, your hand gets a little tired, but once you get into the groove of it, you click on a listing, click on the property history. Did it resell? Did it not? If it didn't, then I'm just marking them all, and then I'll delete all the ones I marked at the end. So I'm left with a list that I can then because you can do an export on MLS to a CSV file. So at the end of that, and I guess if you guys do you guys all know how to do that? Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So
That's why I use other services, but if I can do it from MLS, will be good.
you can't get their name and you can't get the owner's names from it, but you at least get the address.
Mhm.
So then you could go into like PropStream and do a skip trace and everything else on them, but at least I have the addresses. You can't save that list, unfortunately, in MLS. You have to, the only thing you can do is download that CSV file. So out of 400, I end up with about 110. And a few of them, I was just curious to like get this, like if they expired 4 or 5 years ago, like the value's like way up from there.
Correct.
So if they have any thoughts on returning the market, their house is worth a lot more than what they were trying to sell it for 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And you'd be surprised how many people they're still out there. 25% of that 400 list hasn't resold their house.
Well, Tracy, the other thing too, the other big objection, I was talking to one of the agents that's in our 90-day challenge. She was making a few phone calls to her sphere, and she said one of the objection was they just didn't know where they were going to go. Okay, they'd love to sell, but where do I go? So you'll get that a lot. Okay, and you can ask a few more questions on it, but ultimately, I would ask you, do you want to stay in state? Do you want to stay, are you going out of state? Are you going to upgrade your town? Are you moving towns? Whatever they say is, that's awesome. When can we meet? So I can show you a system that I use to find you a home before it hits the market. Okay. Because I love those sellers, because it gives me a whole reason to create a whole nother list of people to call to either, find them the property they want to buy, but also gives me a reason to call to get more listings.
100%.
Okay.
And
So,
somebody that like, why don't we market it off market for now? That way we can if we find somebody that's willing to give you like 6 months to find a house and it's not going to add days on MLS, then let's take that approach and we'll start marketing it off market. That's huge. You've got something that people need to contact you about to find the details on. That's about the best lead generator you can get, is an off market listing. So they want to wait till they're thinking spring, list that now. Just off market, off MLS listing on it, and then say, when we're ready to go on MLS, we'll sign a change of terms that'll allow it to go on MLS.
So what do you have them sell, Tracy, for off market when
So
they agree?
Yeah, like a listing agreement, and then in our folders, there's a off MLS form saying I, the seller, have authorized that I do not want it on MLS at this point in time.
So that's the non-MLS form in addition to the listing agreement?
correct.
Okay.
Yep. So even somebody that's just like, oh, we're gonna just keep it off the market for the winter. Oftentimes that means off MLS. But if you say, well, would you sell it if we brought you a buyer? And most of them would say, I mean, yeah, if I know where I'm going and I could, sell without the trouble of having my house ready for people to tramps through it with their boots on in the winter, sure. Yeah, and then it keeps it under your control so that nobody else can get in there and get a listing agreement on you.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I do have a question. This goes to Derek. Derek, if you had like a listing and you already have like a non MLS form already.
Yep.
If that listing is under agreement, would you can you put it on the MLS any time after that?
No. So, I mean, I'll clarify the question. If you have a non-MLS listing and you sell it if you sell it off market,
Yes,
can you then put it on MLS to get credit in MLS for it? Is that what you're asking?
yes.
Yeah, MLS will slap your wrist. Sometimes you can slide it by. You'll put it on, I'll put it on at like 10 p.m. at night, and then mark it under agreement at 10 a.m. the next day. But MLS usually will catch that and flag it. I go back and forth on why. I figure that MLS wants all the data in there for fair comps. But it's their game, their rules. So if it's off MLS, with a non-MLS listing agreement, you can't just pop it in and put it under agreement. I'm sure Jeff Hall could speak to that. We have about 2 or 3 minutes left, but MLS frowns upon it.
Okay.
Guys, I heard my name. Yeah, so
Did you hear the question? I'm trying not to speak for you or get you in trouble.
no, I did hear the question, and MLS is very picky about that. And you can, sorry, I don't have my videos up. You can get fined for it. You're also required, when you take a non-MLS listing, that non-MLS listing form is required to be submitted to MLS within 24 hours,
Right.
excepting weekends and holidays. So that's also important. And in addition to it being the MLS rules, think about it. If somebody else comes in behind you, you have a non-MLS, somebody else could go to the seller directly. Let's say that you haven't gotten it under agreement yet. If you haven't filed it with MLS as a non-MLS, someone could come in behind you, list it, and put a deal together when you think that you've got an MLS contract on it. And such a thing has happened. Does that make sense, Derek?
Absolutely.
You want protection. Filing that non-MLS with the MLS system is your protection to make sure that someone doesn't come in behind you. I guess that's my point.
Yeah, and Jeff, we've done a lot of them in the last few years. And I sign a non-MLS listing on almost every listing I take, unless I'm signing it on a Monday and they want to list it on a Wednesday. And I strategically use the non-MLS listing form to get a week or two to get all the marketing ready for the home so that we can present that property in the best light. But it also allows me to pre-market it, generate some buzz on it, get some leads, get some buyer leads on the property. And again, if I'm doing something wrong, please correct me. But I always list the start date of the non-MLS as the day I'm there signing the contract, and the expiration of the non-MLS is the expiration of my listing contract. Because as soon as I put it on MLS, then the non-MLS form is null and void.
Right. One suggestion there is, at such time as you are in fact ready to put it on, because MLS is relying upon you making the statement that the seller has instructed you not to include it in MLS. So that's what the form says. And
Right.
It is wise then, at such time as you do want to activate it, to have that seller send you a written notification, email, or something like that, specifically instructing you to put it in the MLS system.
Got it.
Yeah, you could just there's a blank, big space, change of terms form. Just put in there, seller agreeing on this day to, for the property to go on MLS.
Right.
Jeff, so at what point, if the seller instructs you to put it on the MLS, at what point in a particular do you put it on the MLS? Is it when it is active, or when it is contingent, or when it is under agreement?
Okay, just to tag on to what Derek said. When you list a property, If it is meant to be active, then that happens within 24 hours unless you have a non-MLS form signed. So it must go active within 24 hours, except for weekends and holidays. So that's the requirement under MLS. With a non-MLS form signed by the seller and you put a transaction together, you're not going to submit it to the multiple listing service.
Oh,
And you know, Derek talked about occasionally being able to slide it through. If people are watching it, it's not worth the chance of being reported by a colleague when it pops up, because you know then it gets attention, and then complaints potentially can go to MLS.
What if you like attention?
I like attention. I don't like complaints though.
All right, cool.
All right, well, I think that does it, Tracy. We got to jump on the rocket fuel that starts here at 12 with our good long friend Jeff Lobb is presenting today at 12 o'clock. So I definitely want to be in the room to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
That was
Thank
posted
you so
in the
much.
Couple Agent group.
Thank
So
you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, guys. keep up
Thank
the
you,
keep up the
Jeff.
calls. Keep up the calls. I look forward to the call on Thursday and want to hear all the calls that you guys made and I want to hear some more objections and some more success stories on Thursday. So get on those calls.
Sounds
It's-
good.
Thank you, Tracy.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye,
you,
everyone.
Derek.